All right, everybody, so here's the solving by substitution notes day 2. All right, so example A. It says solve the system using substitution. Well, if you remember just the previous day, when we looked at these questions, it was always like y equals an equation or x equals an equation and made the substitution really easy. This one though is not set equal to an x or a y. There's an x and a y on one side in both of these. So in order to do a question like this, you have to get a y to one side so that you can substitute it in. So easiest way to do that is just move a y or an x to one side, and then we're going to plug it in. In this case, this second equation, it's really easy to just move this y to the other side by adding it. You can see that that gives you 3x is equal to y. So now we're not too concerned about this equation anymore because we changed it to become this equation by adding y. So now we have y is equal to a specific equation. So we can actually substitute this equation in for the y in that, that first equation there. So what that gives us is an equation that reads like this: 2x plus, and then here's where the y would go. It's now 3x because we literally just substituted that equation for y, and then that's equal to 5. We can now add the x's together, so 2 plus 3 gives us 5x is equal to 5. Divide each side by 5, and you get x is equal to 1. Well, as soon as you solve for x, remember, we need to plug that x back into the equation that's solved for the other variable. So then that's going to give us 3 times 1 is equal to y. So then 3 is equal to y. So what's our solution? Our solution for this problem is going to be 1, 3. Remember, whenever you check your solution, you have to check with the equation that you didn't use to solve for y. So I'm going to check with that first equation. So 2 times 1 plus 3 is equal to 5. So it's 2 plus 3 is equal to 5, which does turn out to be 5. All right. So a little bit more involved here because we first had to solve for y in one of the equations, and then you physically have to plug y into that other equation, just like we were doing the other day. All right, example B. So similar thing is happening here. You can see that in the first equation, both x and y have numbers on them, so that would be a little bit hard to just solve for one of them. In the second equation here, though, only y has a number on it, so it would actually be not too difficult to get this x by itself. So let's do that. Let's subtract the 2y to the other side, and now we have x is equal to -2 minus 2y. Now we have this equation solved for x, which means we can take this equation and plug it in to where x is. So that's going to give us 3 multiplied by that -2 minus 2y, which is what x was, and then minus 2y is equal to -6. So now we go multiply through, we get -6 minus 6y minus 2y is equal to -6. Let's add that 6 to the other side. You get -6 minus 2 is -8y is equal to 0. Divide by -8, and you get y is equal to 0. We need to come back through, and now we need to solve for x. So we're going to plug this y, substitute it in for the y in the equation that's already solved for x. So then you have x is equal to -2 minus 2 times 0, which gives you x is equal to -2 minus 0, which tells you that x is just equal to -2. So then our solution is going to be -2, 0. And again, we can just check real quick. So let's plug 3 times -2 minus 2 times 0 is equal to negative 6. So that's negative 6 minus 0, which does equal negative 6. So it's good. All right, last example here. Let's use systems of equations to compare Hulu versus Netflix. It says a premium subscription to Netflix is $18 per month, where up to 4 different screens can simultaneously access the account. A subscription to Hulu for a year is $60, and then for unlimited screens is $10 a month to add on. So, this question is trying to get us to figure out what the costs are here. So we have one that's just $18 a month, and that's up to 4 screens. And then we have another one that's $60 for unlimited screens, and then $10 a month to add on. So our Netflix cost, so let's first define our variables. So we have per month and we have per month. Okay, so we're going to say X is the number of months. And then let's say Y is going to be equal to the total cost, right? This question is telling us that if we would want to spend the same amount of money, basically, how many months could we watch this for? So, here we go. We know that our total cost Y for Netflix is going to be equal to $18 times the number of months we can watch it. On the other hand, for Hulu, we have our total cost Y is going to be equal to, first of all, it says there's a $60 annual charge, so $60 plus, and then monthly fee of $10, so plus $10 times X. Okay, so there's our two equations. We have two variables, two equations right there. And now what we can do is we can substitute one of these equations. I like this equation, and we can substitute the equation in for Y on the other side. So we get 18x is equal to 60 plus 10x. We subtract the 10x from both sides. You get 8x is equal to 60. And then we need to divide by 8 on both sides. Let's get the decimal for that. Sorry, it takes me a second to pull out my calculator here. A 60 divided by 8 is going to give us 7.5. So x is equal to 7.5. All right. And yeah, that's good. So 7.5, and then that's months specifically. So what we can say for a solution here is at 7.5 months, the cost, oh wait, no, let's figure out what Y is. We've only found half of this problem. We also need to figure out Y. Okay, so we plug 7.5 back into the equation, right? So let's plug 7.5 into here. So we have Y is equal to 18 times 7.5. So that's 18 times 7.5. Gives us Y is equal to 135. All right, so it seems like at 7.5 months, Netflix and Hulu would cost $135. Okay, and that's the kind of answer you would be looking for a word problem like that. You could go into a little bit of specifics here if the question asked you, and you could say, well, let's round up to the nearest whole number, right? Let's see which one of these is going to cost more. So at 8 months, we would have Y equals 18 times 8, Or we would have y equals 60 plus 10 times 8, right? So that's going to be y is equal to 60 plus 80, which that's y is equal to 100 and what is that, $40. On the other hand, 18 times 8 gives us 144. So then we can see that Hulu will cost more than Netflix at 8 months. All right, so just some things you can use to compare with systems of equations. If you have any questions on any of this, please message me on Canvas, and I hope you have a great day.